Yeah, so first time on YouTube Live. I haven't done this before, so I just want to see how it works. This will be very brief. I just want to give an update to what's going on in that Libya versus Nigeria shenanigans. So if you're a big fan of the Super Eagles or football in Africa, you should have an idea of what has been going on between Libya and Nigeria, and it's generated a lot of conversations. And I've only done one thing. I've reacted to it, but I had to ask CAF, the Confederation of African Football, a very important question. Why were they quiet for so long? The Super Eagles were held at the Al-Abraq airport for about 18 to 20 hours. And at the time, it was like 12 hours. I did a post asking the Confederation of African Football to show leadership, condemn that act, don't give horns to this monster because you preach the fair play message. So therefore, you should be able to take a stance and say this shouldn't be happening to football in Africa. So a bit of a background. So people have been saying, "Oh, Nigeria did it to Libya first. So why are Nigerians complaining, or why are the Super Eagles crying?" Look, two wrongs don't make it right, okay, guys. And I've always said it that with football, it is a tool to unify people, the world, and bring about world peace. I know there are differences, and people can come about and do things that they shouldn't, be doing. In the case that Libya alleged about the treatment they received in Nigeria, the Nigeria Football Federation, I think, did a good job in explaining what happened to Libya. But I have a communication, a press statement has been released by the NFF Director of Communications. The Nigeria Football Federation, they've done a good job by giving us, minute by minute analysis about what happened with this whole Libya situation. So I'm going to read Ademola Olajire's press statement. Is the Director of Communications, Nigeria Football Federation, and he has tagged it. So I have it right here, guys. So just in case, so you see it. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, see, NFL Communications Department. So yeah, so he just sent out that press statement at 6:20. It's 6:49 right now in London, where I am. It's same time with Nigeria, and he said he called it 20 points of a 20-hour ordeal on Libyan soil. So walk with me. I will read his statement, and then you be the judge. Okay. Number one, because he itemized it, and I like that so much. So number one, the chartered value jet aircraft departed from the Victor Atta International Airport. Uyo is in South Nigeria at 11:55 hours on Sunday, 13th October 2024, and landed at the Aminu Kano International Airport in Kano at 13:10 hours for the completion of immigration formalities and for the aircraft to refuel. So this first item is telling us how they left Uyo, where they played the game against Libya, the first leg last week, Friday. They couldn't go direct into Benghazi in Libya, so they stopped in Kano to complete immigration formalities, and so the aircraft can refuel. That's item number one. Let's go to number two. The aircraft took off from Kano at 15:18 hours for the 3 hours and 35 minutes flight to Benghazi, Libya, expecting to arrive a few minutes before 8 p.m. Libya time. Number three, just as the pilot was about to commence his initial approach into Benghazi, the captain was instructed by the control tower that he could not land in Benghazi despite having all the required landing papers and having completed all formalities before leaving Uyo and later Kano, but should proceed to Al-Abraq international airport, even though the airport lacked the control navigators for landing at such hours. He complained that he was short on fuel, but his words fell on deaf ears as he was told in stern manner that the directive was from higher authorities. Walk with me. Number 4. On landing at the Al-Abraq International Airport in the small town of Labrak at 1950 hours, it was clear that the airport was not a well-utilized facility. There were no scanning machines or the usual equipment for this service, and officials had to make do with mobile phones to scan passport data pages. Number 5. The delegation, which included 22 players and team officials, the Nigeria Football Federation president, Alhaji Ibrahim Musa Gusau, the deputy governor of Edo State, Comrade Philip Shaibu, a couple of NFF board members, the Nigeria Football Federation General Secretary, Dr. Mohammed Sanusi, a couple of parliamentarians, a couple of NFF management, a couple of media representatives, and a couple of stakeholders was shown scant respect by the airport authorities, who applied court manners and stern tones. It took over 1 hour for the team's luggage to roll through the carousel, despite the fact that the bags and other items had already been hauled from the aircraft immediately on arrival. Number 7, no official from the Libyan Football Federation was at the airport to receive the delegation, as is the best practice globally. Airport officials could not answer the simple question on where the buses that would take the delegation members back to Benghazi, where the NFF had booked hotel rooms, were. Remember, the NFF would have made their own plans when they get to Benghazi, where the team will stay, and all of that. Good. Number 8. When delegation members, including the NFF president, Comrade Shaibu, and Dr. Sanusi, attempted to venture outside the airport to ascertain if there were vehicles waiting for the team, they were stopped in the most uncouth of manners by airport security personnel. Calls to the General Secretary of Libyan Football Federation, Mr. Abdul Nasser, by Dr. Sanusi yielded no fruit, as the former kept promising that the buses would arrive in 10 minutes, which later became 2 hours, and afterwards 3 hours. Later in the evening, it was no longer possible to reach him on the phone. Frustrated by this attitude, Dr. Sanusi approached the security operatives to request that the team be allowed to go out and board the buses that the Nigeria Football Federation eventually hired. This request was rejected with insults. It took the intervention of the NFF dignitaries to prevent what would have escalated into a row, as the NFF president himself was not spared when he heard exchange of voices between the security personnel and his general secretary. This aggravated the tension and further frustrated the team. Number 10. Hour after hour, with mounting frustration, delegation members, particularly the players, grew restless. There was no food or water provided by the Libyan Football Federation, or where to even procure these items, and there was no network or internet connection at the airport. These swiftly increased the level of frustration and anger. Number 11. At past midnight, it was learned that there had been word from higher authorities. Libya is a jurisdiction governed by 2 different administrations: a United Nations recognized cabinet in Tripoli and a self-imposed team over eastern Libya, including places like Benghazi and Al-Abraq. Remember, the team they were at Al-Abraq. That the Nigerian delegation should not, now these so-called higher authorities instructed that the Nigerian delegation should be delayed for a minimum of 10 hours at the airport for what they falsely claim was done to their team in Nigeria. All conversations between the NFF General Secretary and the Libyan Football Federation General Secretary on the match in Uyo, both written text and voice notes are still in the NFF General Secretary's phone. Number 12. The NFF team was shocked because the incident referred to in Nigeria was entirely generated by the Libyans. They informed the NFF. Now, this is the background. Guys, listen, this is the background that led to all of this. They informed the NFF that their contingent will be landing in Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt is in South Nigeria and not Uyo. Uyo is also in South Nigeria, about 1 hour, 30 minutes or 2 hours marked by road from Port Harcourt to Uyo. Only 2 hours. They informed the NFF only 2 hours to their team's arrival in Nigeria. The match was to be played in Uyo, remember, not Port Harcourt. Libya, if you're going to Port Harcourt, should have informed the NFF early enough because the NFF had made arrangements for them in Uyo. Now let's go back to Olajire's statement. Despite this, the NFF moved swiftly to get authorities to grant their aircraft movement permits from Port Harcourt to Uyo, but this was jettisoned as the Libyan Football Federation apparently did not cherish the additional fee dispatched by the charter company. Remember, they are the ones who are supposed to, arrange their transportation. Good. They opted to travel by road, refused to use the buses hired by the Nigeria Football Federation, and instead hired their own buses, and disrespected advice not to travel by night. When they stuck to their guns to move by night, the NFF provided security. The NFF even provided the team training facility the day after the match and secured direct flight from Uyo to Benghazi for the Libyan delegation. 13. Infuriated, the NFF president reacted. We anticipated some shocks here given the false account of what happened in Nigeria as narrated by their team captain, but we did not expect these shenanigans. What I'm saying is despicable and has no place in the game of football, which is meant to foster excellent relationships amongst nations and bring peoples from diverse cultures, religious persuasions, and economic and political interests together in an ambience of peace and joy. The NFF learned that the embassy of Nigeria in Tripoli had written a fortnight earlier to the authorities in Benghazi that they would want to welcome the Nigeria delegation on arrival. This application was said to have been rejected outrightly. 15. In a conscious effort to play down their frustration, anger, and hunger, the players and officials resorted to playing games, listening to music, chatting themselves up, scanning through the airport exit door to see if any vehicles had arrived, and generally looked forward to daybreak, which they hoped would bring much sought-after relief. 16. Many calls were made to higher authorities in Nigeria to apprise them of the situation, and these persons all expressed fears for the safety and security of the team. These fears were real and justified, given the plethora of threats thrown by the Libyans on legacy and social media in the days before and after the match in Uyo. At 2 a.m., Captain William Troost Ekong met the NFF president in the company of the NFF General Secretary to inform the president that the team may not be able to go ahead with the match due to the trauma, fatigue, and body aches that resulted from lack of food, dehydration, and very cruel and unimaginable treatment, which had led to some players falling ill. The NFF repeated calls to officials of the Confederation of African Football, Nigeria's FIFA Council member Mr. Amaju Melvin Pinnick, and higher authorities in Nigeria. It dispatched a letter to CAF in which it detailed the antics of the hosts and hoped that the continental governing body would go ahead to punish this rare bestiality visited on the beautiful game. It noted that the Super Eagles had traveled hoping to enjoy a great game of football, but have been sorely disappointed and frustrated by the unprecedented level of hostility and poor attitude of the hosts. 18. At daybreak, Mr. Maurice Eremosele, president of the Nigerian community in eastern Libya, arrived with words of empathy from the ambassador of Nigeria to Libya, His Excellency Alhaji Muhammad. He expressed shock at the treatment meted out to the Nigeria delegation, who were made to spend the entire night inside the departure lounge of the Al-Abraq airport. He said His Excellency ordered him to get a few things for the team and later returned with plastic bags loaded with croissants and drinks. This served as breakfast for the team. 19. More calls were made and eventually it was agreed by all parties that the team should not go ahead with the match but return to Nigeria to await the decision of the Confederation of African Football, who were briefed in detail on the situation in regards to the unplayed match. 20, and that's the final item. After spending many more hours waiting for the Al-Abraq airport authorities to sell fuel to refill the chartered value jet aircraft, which was initially proving to be some sort of robotic engineering, the Nigeria delegation departed the Al-Abraq airport, not worth the Toga of International by any scale, at exactly 15:05 hours, bound for the city of Kano and onwards to the federal capital territory, Abuja. So instead of coming here and start telling you guys what I know, I just thought I should read the statement from the Nigeria Football Federation, highlighting, and is a detailed explanation of the ordeal that is suffered at the Al-Abraq airport in Libya. Now, this is where I'm concerned. This shouldn't be happening in football if we say the game is fair play. Yes, Libya, you have a point. You alleged the Nigeria Football Federation didn't do some things that they should have done for you in Nigeria. But 2 wrongs don't make it right. And that was why I called on the Confederation of African Football. The NFF also, did you report the antics of these Libyan officials and players, particularly with the subtle threat you claimed you received? Because if there was a proper report to CAF, and CAF now knows that, look, for this second leg in Benghazi, there's going to be drama and did nothing, then we can start calling CAF out. So that's one thing, the NFF. Now I know that they've given CAF a proper report, but before now, what did you do? It's very, very important. I want to read the statement from the Confederation of African Football. And with that, you could tell that they can do little or nothing at the moment. And I know CAF will come out to say, oh, they were doing their investigation. That's why they didn't say anything when this was happening. CAF, that is not right. You see, as a leader, everything rises and falls on leadership. So Confederation of African Football, you should have come out first thing first, condemn the act that a visitor cannot come to your house and you lock them. And people have been trying to play down the word. It's hostage taking. When you deprive a human being of food, water, you lock that person, the person cannot move or communicate, you've taken that person hostage. And you have trampled on the rights of his human dignity. That's what the Libyan officials did. So Confederation of African Football released a statement. Of course, Nigerians with their numbers had made a lot of noise online. I said, CAF views the disturbing and unacceptable experiences of the Nigerian national football team, Super Eagles, at an airport in Libya in a very serious light. The Confederation of African Football has been in contact with the Libyan and Nigerian authorities after it had been informed that the Nigerian national football team, the Super Eagles, and their technical team were stranded in disturbing conditions for several hours at an airport that were allegedly instructed to land, that they were allegedly instructed to land by the Libyan authorities. This is a CAF statement I'm reading. Just a 2-paragraph statement. They didn't really have much to say. The matter has been referred to the CAF Disciplinary Board for investigation and appropriate action will be taken against those who violated the CAF statutes and regulations. Now, CAF, This is a serious problem. And if nothing is done, countries will weaponize football and it will destroy the objective of the game. Football has the power to unite countries, to provide world peace. And in the spirit of fair play, CAF, this is what you should keep preaching to your member nations, not just CAF, even FIFA. The first thing CAF that you should have done is to address the issue from Port Harcourt, not even in you, not even after the game, before the game. Libya landed in Port Harcourt on Tuesday last week. The game was played on Friday last week. Confederation of African Football, the words were already out. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You should have made a statement. Question the Nigeria Football Federation so that you know what's going on and stand your grounds. The host nations should take care of their visitors. Now, Libya, as it is, wanted to retaliate, and they did just that. Now, CAF, you're going to lose money because you must have spent money to organize that game tomorrow in Benghazi. Nigeria has pulled out. That game will not hold. You're going to still spend money investigating what happened. If you're going to replay that match, you spend money. Now, this is a risk that you did not cost the Confederation of African Football. You should have costed these tricks and say to yourself that if this game doesn't hold, what does it cost us? Now you're going to be spending money. The game has been brought to disrepute. There's some level of animosity now between Libya and Nigeria, and all of these could have been avoided. So, guys, I just thought I should provide this update because this has been a trending issue, and I've been trying to follow it, but I didn't want to, say things on my own. I wanted an official statement from the Nigeria Football Federation, and they've done just that. There was also a statement from the Libyan FA, and what I could really pick was them explaining that these uncertainties, particularly with air traffic control and rerouting of flights, is beyond their control. I agree. But what I'm saying is there was a deliberate attempt to treat the Nigerian delegates the way that Libya alleged they were treated when they came to Nigeria for the first leg game. And the beautiful game shouldn't encourage this. So, guys, thank you so much. It's my first time on YouTube. I hope to do more of these live streams as I get to 1K subscribers. It's not just sports, it's sports, entertainment, and so much more. I'll come here and talk just about anything. Thank you so much. Love and respect. And for my sports guys, hey, you know me. In everything you do, remember, let's keep talking sports. Bye for now. See you guys again.